Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Paradox of Sports with Jackson.
Paradox of Sports, episode 61. It's been a minute since we've done one of these, but Jack wrangled him up a really good guest for this one. So got the interview done. So we wanted to sit and get the open ready to go. Jack, how have you been?
I've been pretty good over the last 2 or 3 months because I think that's how long it's been.
Yeah, it's been a while. So how's fall?
It was pretty good. Football seemed to a close. I've started practice for baseball, and and I started NAL on Monday.
Did you say you started baseball?
I started practicing for baseball, and then I started NAL.
Okay, gotcha. When does the NIL stuff start?
NAL. The first game was last Monday. I have another game tomorrow.
Yeah, NIL is what the college kids are getting. Yeah, NAL. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we're not going to screw around because I do have some things we're going to talk about after we get done with the interview. But I think we're just going to go ahead and throw it to you. You introduced the guest. You ran the interview. So let's go ahead and get it to today's guest.
What is up, guys? It's Jack again with another interview on the Paradox of Sports, and this one's a big one. Introducing former WWE Hall of Famer, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, I believe. Please welcome Jake the Snake Roberts.
Well, thank you, Jack.
Welcome. All right, let's get this started. When did you get your start in wrestling?
1974 is when I started. I started refereeing first. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna piggyback in here because we had we were going back and forth on getting everybody's schedule in line, but that also did buy us some extra time where we got to see that episode of Tales from the Territories on Vice. Mm-hmm. So I was able to get caught up on that. And one of the in that particular show was Mid-South Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where you and a lot of other superstars really cut their teeth in the business. You, DiBiase, Jim Ross was a referee and kind of dabbled in announcing. So talk a little bit about the Mid-South Wrestling experience.
Well, it was extremely hard. And the reason that was is because the owner, Cowboy Bill Watts, excuse my language, that friggin' asshole, can't stand that guy. He's just a horrible human being. But anyway, he ran the territory with, an iron claw on it, and he got more out of you than you had to give. He made you push your boundaries. Wrestling in Mid-South in the old territory days, you had to evolve rather quickly because you went to the same towns every week. So you couldn't go to the same town and do the same shit you've been doing. You had to change. You had to add to your repertoire. You had to do something different. You had to grow. And by being forced into that, you learned rather quickly because you had to. And one of the things that helped was, unfortunately, was the long road trips. We put some heavy miles on there. We were doing 2,500, 3,000 miles per week. Wrestling every night, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. It was a grueling schedule, but you learned. And I think the reason it was so successful is because you enjoyed learning, and you wanted to add to what you do, and grow. And there were a lot of guys that came in there, man, and when they left, they had a much better bag of tricks to go to. They learned a lot, whether it was DiBiase or myself or Hacksaw Jim Duggan or Butch Reed, Junkyard Dog. I mean, the list goes on, man. I can sit here and name you names, you know, Freebirds, Terry Taylor, Rock and Roll Express, all these cats came through there, man, and they all learned. And but it was very grueling. It was very tough, very tough. So if you went in there and you lasted for 6 or 8 months, you were doing a good gig, man.
So you made your WWF debut in 1986. What was the process in introducing Damien the Snake in your gimmick?
Oh God. Well, I'd had the idea years ago. You know, whenever I came up with Jake the Snake, I'd always had that idea of bringing a snake in at some point in time. I brought that idea to Cowboy Bill Watts, and he quickly told me that, kid, this ain't a fucking circus. We don't need no goddamn snakes and clowns and bullshit. We wrestle. Okay, Bill, you're right. Ha 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 ha. You know, and I remember Ernie Ladd telling me that, kids, you got something there, but I just don't know what you got. You know, that was pretty cool. But then when I went to the WWF, that was one of the things that McMahon wanted. He wanted the snake involved. And, you know, it was on one of those road trips, you know, when you're driving 300 miles every night or 250 miles every night, after your match, you talk about what could make yourself better, what you could have done differently, how you could have used this or used that. You know, you really spend a lot of time doing that. You got to stay awake. So that's basically what all the guys did. And of course, whenever I got on there and started rattling my brain around Jake the Snake Roberts, the snake had to be involved at some point, you know, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden I'm hit with reality. The reality is now you're going to have a damn snake. And then the truth comes out. Holy shit, you're scared to death of the damn things. And I'm still scared of snakes, horribly scared of them. But when the bell rings, I'm no longer Aurelian Smith, who is afraid of snakes. I'm Jake the Snake Roberts, and Jake the Snake ain't afraid of shit. There is nothing that turns my head or jerks me away. I'll go right through a damn wall. It don't matter to me. You know, you could put 3 men in the ring. I'll beat all 3 of them some bitches. It doesn't matter. Because that's who Jake the Snake is. So I would go out and perform with the snake, but as soon as I hit that curtain on the way back in, I had to get that damn thing off of me and away from me because I did not want it to touch me. And the bad thing is I had to take it with me every night to my hotel. And the hotel took the brunt of that because snakes are pretty rough on a hotel room. You know, they break things like toilets and sinks off the wall. Yeah, they're pretty messy. And it's pretty funny though when you call down to the front desk and tell them that you need help in your room because water's going everywhere and the snake did it. What?
Yeah. That gives a whole new meaning to the dog ate my homework.
Right.
Spiel.
Yeah. I was asked to leave many hotels.
And during your 1989 feud with Andre the Giant, was he actually afraid of snakes too?
Hell no. No. Andre wasn't afraid of anything, man. He did a phenomenal job in making people believe he was afraid. Hell, one night the snake broke 2 fangs off in his shoulder and he didn't even know it. And I went back to the locker room because the snake had bit me too. And I didn't even want to go in the locker room because I was afraid he's going to, kick my ass because I knew the snake had bit him. And I walk into the locker room, I'm like, Andre, you okay? Oh, well, yeah, why? No problems. And Rick Rude walked up behind him. Andre was sitting down. He goes, hey, boss, look at this. And he grabbed and he pulled the fangs out of his shoulder. Look at that. There's a fang that he broke off in his shoulder. And Andre laughed and said, oh, snake must be hungry. And that's all he said. He didn't get mad. He didn't want help. He didn't, you don't need a damn Band-Aid. Hell, quit bleeding after a while. Don't worry about it. that was it. And I was glad too.
Yeah, that's definitely a man you want on your side.
Yeah, you don't poke him, man.
Other than Damien and Lucifer, what were the other snakes' names, including the Cobras?
Oh man, the Cobra was my favorite. I named the Cobra SOB. And that's not son of a gun because it doesn't work, but it's son of a bitch. And a couple of the other ones had different names that I don't even want to say. I called one of them Lucy, Lucifer. Lucy, that's what I called her though. She was badass too. She got me for, I think, 36 stitches in my arm. Yeah, that was a nice night. Couldn't stop the bleeding, had to go to the hospital, get a vein cauterized on the inside of my elbow. Yeah, it was really messy, man. But those damn things, think about what their life is like, man. They sit around in a hotel room and inside a bag or outside breaking stuff off the walls and stuff. Then you put them in a bag, you take them to an arena and you carry him down to the ring, you toss him up on the ring apron and leave him there. And then all of a sudden, out of darkness, he's shoved into the bright light and all this noise. That's where they pick up their data, man, for their brains, and they figure out what the hell they're going to do. And then you grab it and you put it on somebody who's thrashing around, flailing around, falling down, landing on it. Yeah, you're going to get bit sooner or later. And there were a few guys that got bit, but just happened. But the only one that was on purpose, of course, it was Macho Man. And that Cobra bit him, man, and it was awesome, brother. He wouldn't let go. That's my favorite moment of all time.
And was that 91?
Yeah, something like that.
So going back on my childhood, those 80s and 90s, and just
that's prime time, man.
Oh, it was unbelievable. First time I ever got to go to a live event with my buddy. And my parents took us and just had a hell of a time. And looking back at like Jack, and I got a 10-year-old Vaughn, who was that was my age when I was experiencing the earthquake, squishing Damien. I mean, everyone's just bawling because of that, and the whole King Cobra with Macho Man. I mean, these are things that were 30 plus years ago that are part of your childhood. And it's a good thing we're able to go WWE Network and see some of this old stuff. So, Jack and Vaughn can experience, the good old days,
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like a bunch of old bastards when we say that, the good old days, but truly, that's where the gimmick sports entertainment really started. And just the memories and it was just an unbelievable time. So
yeah, it was the greatest of the great during the 80s and 90s, and of course by the end of the 90s, all the great ones were on the shelf, and these new kids are trying to take over, and they're just not getting the job done, man, because they don't have characters, they don't have that it factor. You got to remember Vince McMahon, he went to every territory and took their top talent.
Mm-hmm.
And brought them all to the WWF. So how many years experience did all these guys have before we got there? I mean, I had, see me think for a moment. I had 12 years in before I ever got there. Now these going to a wrestling school, coming out of it, and all of a sudden they're on Main Event Raw, and they've been in the business for a year. A lot of pressure to perform. And what they're doing is they're risking their lives by doing these things that men aren't supposed to do at that size. For a 300-pound man to get up on that top rope and launch himself through a table, that's not what wrestling is. Wrestling is about the good versus the evil. And they need to go back to that. Today, you don't even know who the good guy is. You really don't. Nobody pulls hair. Nobody cheats. They just do horrible things to each other. But the baby faces are doing just as much as the heels are, you know. So what do you have there but a jumbled up mess? And there's no characters coming out of that. You know, they all change so much. Every week they change into something else that you don't even know what the hell they're doing or why. You know, that's something they don't explain anymore. Why is this happening? You know, and it's a shame because that's what wrestling is all about. It's the storylines.
Yeah.
And that's what people miss. And the sad thing is the people that are going to suffer is the talent that's out there today, because in 10 years, you won't remember their damn names. Think about it. Look at all these young kids that are coming up and that are going out now because they're all busted up. I mean, the Hardy Boys are still there, but they're far from what they used to be.
No, you know, no disrespect to them, just because they're phenomenal talents, but
Yeah,
you know, they're shells of themselves.
yeah, they're
when
busted
they
up,
first,
man.
you know,
Jesus
got in and
Christ.
was doing the things they did.
Yeah, they can't do that stuff anymore, man. And the sad thing is, when they leave, nobody will remember them. You know, that's really sad. I mean, thank God for the WWE network, because I'm able to go to Comic-Cons and different signings, and I've got 6 and 8-year-old kids asking me questions. Hell, they weren't even born when I was doing my thing, man.
Yeah.
And it's been 25 years since I've been in a ring. So kudos to me for having a character that is remembered and held in such high regard, because I'm able to still make a living by going out and doing signings.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and I'm thinking you and Steamboat going at it, you know, him and his Komodo Dragon.
Yeah.
You know, your deal with the Ultimate Warrior, and just, you know, having that pit, you know, full of different snakes and things like that. I mean, that's ingrained in people's minds. When you were watching that back in those days, you know, hell, I could rattle off a lot of those. And again, that's 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, those moments are etched into your brain. They'll never go away. You know, those characters are etched into your brain. And the reason is because in that era, we didn't use all the pyro and all this crazy shit. We just went out and wrestled. And we got you hooked up to our characters. Well, it's just like movies today. Movies today, they have all this pyro and all this computer graphic shit, and you can't even follow it. Happening so fast, so much is being thrown at you, very little sticks to the wall. And what happens is you get visually connected with the character, but not emotionally connected with it. Jake the Snake Roberts hooked you up emotionally to his character. You cared about that character. You had thoughts about that character. And that doesn't go away. Once it gets in your heart, it's there forever. But these kids today, it's all visual contact, man. All this flying stuff. They do it so fast, nobody sells anything. You know, they'll get up and jump off the top rope through a table, get out and do 19 finishes with 3 DDTs, you know, and then they get beat by a schoolboy, which is ridiculous. Why in the hell are you getting beat by a schoolboy? That's bullshit. But the reason that happens is these guys don't have the confidence in their character to survive a loss. And it's not about who wins a match and who loses a match. It's about who connected with them emotionally and had them hooked. You're hooked. Jack's hooked. With haircut and all. What's your girlfriend's name, Jack?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Describe your shocking debut in WCW when you hit Sting with the DDT.
Well, that was about it, bud. They wanted me to make a splash, and I made a splash, but there were a lot of things that went wrong at WCW for me. Bill Watts, sorry, son of a bitch. I had negotiated one hell of a contract. and he came in and tore it up because he was smart enough to know that I had just left WWE and came to them. It's not like I can go back to WWE, not right away. So he had me. So I had to sign a contract that was pennies on the dollar of what I should have got. But part of his deal was getting those contracts cut. He made a deal with WCW to get rid of those maxed out contracts. Hell, there were guys making $5,000 a day, and I come in, I've got this multi-million-dollar contract in front of me, and Bill Watts just tears it up. Says, "Are you kidding me? I'll give you this much per bout." What? Per bout? In my contract, I wasn't going to have to wrestle any more than 2 days a week. So there, that went out the window. So it was pretty ugly.
So, okay, you already had that signed deal. So, yeah, he, big cowboy, I'm in charge now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just rip it up. Was there no legal action taken?
No, I had not signed the new deal yet.
Oh, it was a verbal.
Yeah, I had to wait 90 days after I left WWE to sign the new contract.
Gotcha.
He got hired about 60 days in. So by the time I got there, he already seen that, he's going to tear that contract up and save the company millions of dollars. And the sad thing is all the money that he saved, he got a percentage of it. So of course he was cutting up contracts.
Yeah.
He went to guys that had big contracts and said, "Look, guys, you got this massive contract. Let me tell you what's going to happen. If you don't change that contract and come to a new deal, we're going to put you on television and beat you every fucking week." What do you mean? I mean, yeah, you're going to get your money, but you're going to lose in that ring, and every other show that you go to, you will lose in the middle of the ring. Well, these guys didn't want that. They didn't want to destroy their careers, did they? No. So they took less money. And Bill Watts got paid again.
Who else was in that same boat with you?
I don't want to say any names, bro. That's not my business.
Sure. But you know that you weren't the only one.
Oh, God, no. There was about 10 guys that got their money cut. Maybe more. Just think of the top names that were there. They got cut.
I hear you. Wow.
And there were a lot of guys there, whether it was Sting or the Steiners or whoever. They got cut.
You made your WWF return in 1996. What was it like returning to the largest wrestling promotion at the time?
It was crazy, man. It was in Fresno, California. They were doing King of the Ring. And was it King of the Ring? No. What was that? Royal Rumble. And I went to when I came through that curtain, that place blew up. I mean, it literally blew up. The noise was deafening. And I went to the ring, man, and I had my hair on my arms. It felt like it was growing. The electricity was hitting me. And the energy that engulfed me. When I stood up in that ring, I felt like my body was on fire. It was a crazy feeling, man. It really was. And then every time I DDT'd somebody, the people would just go absolutely ape shit. And then I dumped the snake out and they go ape shit again. So back in those days, they recorded the sound levels. And at the end of the show, they looked and see who had the biggest pops. I had 3. 3 big ones. Even their superstars at the time, they couldn't come close to what happened. So I got a couple more questions for you guys, and then we're gonna have to scoot.
Okay.
That same year, you faced Steve Austin in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament. How
Right.
did Steve's promo after the match affect both of y'all's careers?
Well, it jettisoned his career into a whole other level, but it didn't hurt my career at all. I was already established, man. I was Jake the Snake Robertson. You can never take that away from me. But it helped make Steve, and that was the whole thing. Is I believed in Steve Austin when I got there. Vince didn't think Steve Austin was more than a second or third match. And I told him, no way, man, that's your next superstar. Boy, was I right there.
Yeah.
They did the Austin 316 thing, which was great, which I think they really missed one, because I come up with an idea for Austin's 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill unless you're pissed. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife unless she's smoking hot. Right on down the line. You should honor your mother and father unless they're jack-offs. Right down the list, man. But they never did that. One more question.
Okay. After your tenure in WWF, describe your experience in the other not as relevant promotions before getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014.
Yeah. Here's the thing for me. If there were 100 people in the audience, I can still go out and have a great time. I can still enjoy my art, my craft, and I love doing it. So, yeah, the gigantic arenas were gone, but these smaller arenas give you more opportunity to really get ingrained with what you're doing. And it lets you get more personal with the fans. And that's what I love. I love going to Comic-Cons now or to any signing, because I get to hear stories from families saying, my God, we used to sit down every week. Oh my God, we remember the Rick Martel match. We were screaming for you and you were going the wrong way and we were screaming. Yeah, but you were at home. I couldn't hear you. So, everything's great, Jack. You gotta remember where you're at. And my grandfather always told me, son, don't leave the table till you get all the crumbs off of it. You might get hungry before the night's over. I'm still hungry. And whether it be a small arena I go to, or whether it's a Comic-Con that has 50,000 people at, I enjoy the piss out of it, man, because it's what I've got. I earned it. 25 years since I've been in the ring. I'm still too damn busy. So there we go. Not to even count podcasts and stuff. I got my own podcast, the Jake the Snake, the Snake Pit, that I do by myself. I don't know if you've checked that out yet.
Yep.
But I'm going to have some fun on there because I can talk about what I want to talk about. Dallas and I had a podcast, but, to be quite blunt with you, Dallas just has too much going on to be bothered with my podcast or our podcast. And the last thing I wanted or he wanted was just to be like work. If doing a podcast becomes work, I'll quit. I don't want to work. Jack, one thing you remember, if it feels like work, then find something else to do, because you want to have a job that you enjoy and love, and it makes it a pleasure to be there and be a part of whatever you're doing. So don't give up that thought. Guys, thank you very much for having me. I'm going to have to get out of here, and I can tell Jack needs to go get a comb for his hair because it looks a little bit off right now, Jack. I'm just saying.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
All right, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake the Snake Roberts, thank you so much for taking the time. We enjoyed it. And
all right.
Hit us up whenever you make it to Colorado.
All right, we'll do, man. I'm headed that way. Again. We're doing a comedy tour coming up in February, March. I'll be out there.
All right. Yeah. Hey, please keep us posted. We definitely want to get together.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right.
All right. We need to thank Jake the Snake for taking the time and sitting down with us. So that was very cool. Now, I know in talking to executive producer after the interview, you had more questions you wanted to get to. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so were you upset with the interview, or let's talk about the whole process. How did you feel that whole thing went?
I believe the interview went really well. I mean, he gave us so much information. He told us everything about anything about Mid-South wrestling. He brought up his time in WWE. He was just a great guy overall, and I think it was one of our best interviews so far.
I do too. I think he was very cool. He interacted very well with you. So I think it was awesome. And that's something, as we've had him go both ways. And sometimes when you bring 20 questions and you burn through 20 questions in 15 minutes, that sucks, because the guys today just aren't giving you anything. Yeah. So now for this time to get, 8 or 9 questions in almost a half hour, that's a successful interview. And then that leaves a little more on the table. If there's ever a situation where you sit down with him again, now you have a little ammo, some more things that you want to ask. So what the jokes about your hair, is that just something you think we're going to get from? Is that something old people do to young people? Is that just part about being a kid?
Yeah, because you saw me messing around with my hair because I was like, and I could not style it at all because the Zoom camera, it actually like does the opposite of reflecting. So
yeah.
Technically, yeah,
your hair is parted on a different side of your head than you're seeing on the screen right now.
Yes.
And that drives you nuts.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Well, we got a few things to talk about, sports world-wise. Are you ready to admit that I was right about Russell Wilson and that he is total trash and the Broncos are going to suck for the next 5 years?
Yes, I'm ready to admit that the Broncos suck.
Okay. It's Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. Our defense.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett cannot tell time.
No. Yeah, I'm not sure if he can read numbers.
I literally know for a fact that he does not know how to tell time.
Yeah, so how many Broncos games have you been to this year?
Probably one in the preseason and one in the regular season.
Who did you go see regular season wise?
Raiders.
Oh, were you at the OT game?
Yeah, I was at the overtime game.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, somebody ran onto the field. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was right in front of you guys. So
yeah.
And then I know you were also at the Texas Tech Oklahoma game, and you got to do a little court storm in there. Storm the field after the game.
Yeah, I got $20 because I found somebody's phone.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, they lost it when they were on the field?
Yeah.
Nice. And okay, so then tell me that story. How does that work?
Okay, so we're just storming the field right after the game. And I just see a phone on the ground and I pick it up. I look at like the lock screen and I look and it's just a dog. It's literally just a dog. It's on a black background and it's a dog. Just a white I don't know my dogs very well, but it was just a white one with some floppy ears. Okay. Anyway, so me and my brother go around. We're looking to see whose phone it is, and then a guy comes up to us. He's probably about like 6'3", and he asks if we have his phone, and then we show it to him, and it's his, and yeah, he gives us $20. And the best part about that was that he was an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, but you still did the right. Like the game's over at that point. Like that's nowadays, especially, man, you lose your cell phone. That can screw up a lot of everyday business that a guy has going on. Cause we communicate on our phones. We do a lot of stuff just on our phones. So yeah, right there. So what else do we really have to cover?
I can't think of anything. I think we could talk about how Russell Wilson left the field. We didn't.
Yeah, what happened? I didn't see that. I come up and was making dinner. Is he hurt? Is he done? Can we cut him?
He had a concussion. but we didn't know he had a concussion. He just left the field, so we didn't know what happened. Here, let me look at like the stats on this game. Hold on.
Didn't he have? I didn't think
Oh,
he
they
could
lost.
get a
They
concussion. Doesn't
lost,
he
but
have
it
that?
was like really close.
He has that concussion water, doesn't he? Have some of that high-end concussion water?
Concussion water. I don't
Yeah, wasn't
know.
Russ part of some of that stuff? He was taking some magic water. Gosh,
Yeah, I believe so.
Tom Brady got bullied today. Holy buckets.
Yeah. Brock Purdy is the greatest football player of all time.
Maybe ever. Maybe ever.
I
Time will
said
tell.
of all time.
Oh, of all time. Yeah, you could see.
If Brock Purdy does what Tom Brady did as a Mr. Relevant, he'll be better.
That would be awesome.
I have a feeling that the next episode we do, we'll probably have to like start talking about free agency because it's definitely going to be one of the biggest free agent periods we've ever seen.
Yeah, and especially with the cash over cap and the stuff they're able to do now with the salary cap's not real, so they're able to just move money around and do whatnot. So yeah, I'm anxious to see what happens with everything moving forward. So yeah, that's what we'll plan. That'll be what we do here next time we get together. So
20 players in hold on, let me find a thing. 2023 NFL free agents. I'm gonna look at everybody. So
Okay.
so let's go here. First things first, Tom Brady. He will be a free agent. Will he retire? I don't know.
Not a top free agent.
Well, he's the #1 quarterback.
He was.
Yeah, because the rest of them, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and nothing much. Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, Taylor Heineke. Lamar Jackson is though. Lamar Jackson's a free agent. And then like nothing really. Drew Lock becomes a free agent. Cooper Rush. Really nothing much in terms of quarterbacks. Running backs. Let me look. Saquon, Kareem Hunt. I mean, that's pretty packed. I got Latavius Murray, Devin Singletary, David Montgomery. Just a bunch of really good players, I believe. And then as for the fullbacks, because why not? See if Kyle Juszczyk is a free agent. Nope. Wide receivers. Let me go to a thing where I can see it easier. I'm gonna go by receiving yards. The receiving class isn't really that good. The best receiver as of this year is probably Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Tight end wise,
I think he got a touchdown today.
Tight end is actually pretty good compared to their position. I mean, Dalton Schultz is an option. Mike Gesicki, Austin Hooper, Robert Tonyan. Yeah, these guys all like pretty good. Don't care about linemen. I'm sorry. Edge rushers.
That's spoken like real skinny. That's a real skinny guy. It's a real skinny guy take to have there.
Yeah, it's a very skinny guy take.
They plug and make the holes. They're pretty important. Protect or kill quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You still don't care for him?
No.
Okay.
I mean, overall, this is just a really good free agency class. I mean, if we see Tom Brady retire, then it's going to be crazy. Because I don't.
He might have broke his hand today. That where he hit that helmet on that interception, that looked like it. He might have hurt his hand a little today. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Kickers, nothing. Corners, The cornerback position, like, not really good at all.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
there'll be some studs. There'll be some studs in the draft. They can get out of there. Oh, I know one thing we need to talk about.
What?
Last thing, Deion to CU. What do you think about that as a almost high school age child into an adult? We'll call it adolescence now. Where does that get you excited? Does that turn your attention to CU any at all, or like where do you fall on that spectrum of Deion going to Boulder?
So with Deion going to the University of Colorado, I believe that he is going to take Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter with him. He's going to take, in fact, he's going to take at least 5 Jackson State players with him to Colorado. There.
Yeah, I would assume that's a given that they're going to do. They're going to go with their guy. But does that pique your interest any in Buffs football? Like, do you pay more attention to him now, or does it not draw your interest to CU?
Now, hear me out. I hate the Buffs. All right, I am not a fan of them at all.
Same.
I think they were a really bad football team. But now with Deion Sanders coming in, Shedeur Sanders more than likely, Travis Hunter hopefully, and with Jackson State being the best FCS team, I have a feeling Colorado's at least getting a 8-4 record this year. I have a feeling they have a push to win the Pac-12.
Do you think they will be in a Final Four, a national semifinal in the next, say, 3 years?
3 years is a possibility. Right now, next year, I've got them headed to a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, they probably get the game against the Group of 5 team, but I still think it's a big possibility.
Okay, we'll bookmark that. We'll have that. We'll save that for next year. That'll make college football a lot of fun. Nebraska goes to CU. So the weekend after we all hang out together in Laramie for the Tech game, that next weekend, Nebraska goes to Boulder. And that might be one a guy might have to try to make a trip and watch, because that'll get a little with Rule going to Lincoln and Deion to Boulder. That'll at least put some eyes, back on the programs, leading into that.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up Shedeur Sanders. Okay, Deion Sanders said that Shedeur Sanders is our quarterback.
Yeah.
And Deion Sanders has already anointed Shedeur Sanders as Colorado's starting quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah. Did we even know if he was gonna go to a Colorado at all?
No, he was not going to Colorado before Deion came.
Or no, Deion Sanders. Was Deion Sanders, when did we figure out that he was talking to Colorado?
Oh, it was probably about a week before he signed. You started seeing stories that the offer was made, and then he confirmed they were talking, and then it happened pretty fast after that.
Yeah, Jackson State only had one good year. I think they were like a D2 school before this, I believe, from what I've seen. But then with Deion Sanders, they move up to D1 just automatically. That's what I heard, though. I may need to fact check that, but
I don't know. I wasn't following the program before he got there.
Also, Colorado also got a 4-star running back. And
oh yeah, they're gonna get some horses. They're gonna be CU's gonna be legit. CU now, USC and UCLA leaving to go to the Big Ten kind of kills the Pac-12 a bit, but we'll see if the Pac-12 has plans to gobble up any of maybe the Mountain West schools or something. I don't know what they'll figure something out. It's all big money, man.
yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. I think that's a good one. You ready to get out of here?
Yep.
Okay, get us out of here.
All right. Thank y'all so much for watching this today's edition of the Paradox of Sports podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you can find the Paradox of Sports. I forgot what it was. I was gonna give. Okay. I have homework for the fans watching. I want you guys to go find Jake the Snake Roberts podcast. Watch it. All right, or listen to it. Whatever podcasts are these days. And yeah, just watch it, learn from them, and do that. All right. Adios.